Hi, welcome to this episode of Thai Food. In this episode, I'm going to make what is known as Char Siu, or as most of us Americans know it as Chinese pork. I've got some center cut pork chops, and these just come from regular pork loin. Most of the research I did, they use a pork tenderloin, but I'm trying to go more economical because pork tenderloin, in my opinion, is a bit expensive. It's up there right with ribeye, in my opinion. So we're going to get this package open, and hopefully without the other paper towel. Go ahead and slice that right open, just like so. And I want to get my pork right on the paper towel in front of me. I want to try to get as much moisture out of this as I can before I do the marinade for the char siu. And now you can opt out the red food coloring that they use in this, but I'm trying to go authentic because, believe it or not, I'm actually going to shoot another video after I make this, and I'm going to make pork fried rice. Because what to do when you can't find your favorite Chinese restaurant in your area anymore? You try to duplicate what they make. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, got the pork pretty much dried off. Let me wash my hands real quick so that I can make the marinade for that. Might as well throw that right in the trash too. And so there's a few different things in this marinade. One of them is red food coloring. Then you might have to go get some of this stuff if you don't have it. Pretty much the only spice I didn't have in this recipe was the Chinese 5-spice. I had everything else in my kitchen, believe it or not. And so I've got some Chinese 5-spice that I picked up at Walmart. $5 for this jar, and you don't need a whole lot of it. So this is going to last me a while, depending on how many times I make this recipe. But we're going to start with a couple tablespoons of brown sugar here. And like I said, this is a marinade, so you're going to marinate the meat in this, and then take it to the grill. So there's 1 tablespoon. And I'm packing the tablespoons, of course. And there's 2. So there's 2 tablespoons brown sugar. And we're going to do 2 tablespoons of honey. So you want to match the honey with the brown sugar. And a little trick, if you heat the honey up in the microwave, it goes a little easier for you. And I thought I had 2 tablespoons in this jar. I guess I was wrong. Boy, was I wrong. I only had 1. So I'm going to have to grab another jar of honey here. So there's 1 tablespoon there. Let me just go to my pantry real quick here. See what I got for honey choices. Looks like it's the big jar. So there we go. I'm going to pour some in the smaller jar here to make it easier to use. And like I said, to make it easier to pour, you could heat it up, but in this case, we're just going to run with this. Like I said, I thought I had 2 tablespoons of honey in that jar left. I only had 1, so. There we are. There's 2 tablespoons. Go ahead and seal this back up here. And next thing we're going to do is a couple tablespoons of hoisin sauce, which is basically Chinese barbecue sauce, for those of you that aren't familiar with it. So go ahead and, you can see it's a bit thick, but it'll get diluted down with some soy sauce here in a little bit. There's 1. And they make all different kinds of soy sauce. This is Lee Kum Kee. I get this right at Walmart. It's less than $4 for this bottle, I do believe. Might be the smaller bottle that's under $4, but either way, it's not horribly expensive. And we're going to do a tablespoon of a light soy sauce. And I've got some Bragg's liquid aminos, which is a more all-natural soy sauce, if you're not familiar with that. And then we're going to do some dark soy sauce. So for the dark soy sauce, I've got a mushroom flavored dark soy sauce. And I tried this on my rice. I wasn't particularly fond of it on the rice. I've got a lighter soy sauce that's mushroom that I like on my rice. But this one's been great for cooking with. So I may buy it again just for cooking with. This is Lee Kum Kee as well. I found this at the local Oriental store. So it shouldn't be too hard to find. But I want 1 tablespoon of that. And I threw my... Wait a minute. No. 1.5 teaspoons is what I wanted. I made a little cheat sheet because I'm actually making this for the first time. I did some research, looked up some different recipes on the internet, and then formulated my own for the most part. So I got 1 teaspoon here. So there's 1. I'm going to do that about halfway. A little touch more. Okay, and that's about 1.5 teaspoons. Soy sauce is forgiving, doesn't have to be exact. It's basically a salty flavor component. So there's 1.5 teaspoons of that. And now we're going to do half a teaspoon of 5 spice. Now they call it 5 spice because it's a blend of cloves, cinnamon, black pepper, and a couple of other items in here. It's ingredients say aniseed, fennel, cinnamon, cloves, and black peppercorn. So aniseed is basically the seed that you grow fennel from, and then fennel is the actual plant. I know it as Italian celery. It's got kind of a black licorice flavor, but it's not going to be overbearing here. We're only using half a teaspoon. So I know there's some people that don't like black licorice, but believe me, if you don't notice it in your pork fried rice, you're not going to notice it here. And there's that. And then the only other things I need is 1.5 teaspoons of the oil and some red food coloring. And you only want about a teaspoon or less of the red food coloring, so I got a little bit left here that I'm going to just squeeze in and use up. And you can opt out for this. It's not a big deal. That was probably like not even 1/8 of a teaspoon I put in there. Just one I found that was left over. Let me grab some oil here. I know it's in here somewhere. Kind of buried in my fridge. Found it. Now, they said to use a canola oil or a sesame seed oil, but me being me, I'm going to use roasted garlic oil because that's what I want. I want to add some garlic flavor into this somewhere. So I'm going to just do 1.5 teaspoons here. So I got 1 teaspoon. There's 1. And you can see I keep it in the refrigerator so it's a bit crystallized, but don't worry, it's not going to hurt the recipe any. It'll warm up. And that's about half a teaspoon there. And that's all that really goes into this. And we're just going to mix this up here, and we're going to put our pork in it and let it marinate for a few hours before I go to the grill with it. Toss that in the sink. So I got a whisk here. I'm just going to whisk everything together. Sugar, brown sugar. You can substitute, instead of brown sugar, you could use white sugar. But most everybody who does any sort of cooking and baking and such, they seem to have brown sugar on hand. I keep it on hand because I use it when I make my homemade barbecue sauce, and I like to use it in my rubs for the grill and such. So that's about all there is to it there. You know, just give it a good mix. You want to mix it long enough that you can try to get the sugar to dissolve into the marinade. And by heating the honey, that should help you a little bit, although that 2nd tablespoon of honey there wasn't quite heated. I can already smell the garlic coming up from this. So, you know, obviously I'm not sticking traditional. I'm putting my own spin on it by using the roasted garlic oil, and I'm using the mushroom soy sauce, so that's not really a traditional aspect of this. But, you know, nothing like making it your own. And you can see it's got that redness to it like the pork will have when you get your pork fried rice. And that's all there is to it there. Throw that in the sink. We're just going to take our pork loin chop and cover both sides of it in the marinade. And I probably got more than marinade here than I need. But that's okay, I can save it and heat it up and use it in the pork fried rice later if I want for a little extra flavor. Or if you plan on doing more than just 4 pork chops, this will be plenty. And that dark soy sauce adds a lot of color here too as well. So this is pretty much all we're going to do. Now we're just going to cover this and let it sit on the counter and marinate for a few hours. And then I'll heat up the grill and throw it on the grill. But that's as simple as it is. Char siu to make your own pork fried rice. Or if you want to make your boneless ribs, you could take and make slices out of this. Slice up your pork and then toss it with this marinade, and that's your boneless ribs that they make. And that's all there is to it. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the little bell icon so you can get notified when I upload a new video. And check out my Facebook page, Thai Food. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as well. Have a good one.